The chemistry you and Shannon had kind of overshadowed whatever Stephen A. was doing on ESPN.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Please like the video and subscribe. Our target is only 1,000 likes. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith altered the landscape of debate television by joining forces on Fast Take, but getting there was a years-long battle with ESPN. For years, Stephen A. Smith has openly credited and thanked Bayless for making him a full-time debate partner on Fast Take in the year 2012. Stephen A. though has since modeled Fast Take into his own show by getting rid of Max Kellerman in 2021 and watching Bayless leave ESPN by his own will in 2016. But the thing is, Skip Bayless didn't just bring Stephen A. to Fast Take, he helped him back to ESPN. Stephen A.'s first stint at ESPN ended in 2009. According to Skip Bayless, Fast Take ratings were already going through the roof during the 2011 Tebow season. At the time, ESPN was allowing Stephen A. to make weekly appearances on Fast Take, but at the end of that season, Skip Bayless insisted on having Stephen A. as a full-time debate partner on Fast Take.
Numbers at the time with First Take and Undisputed, but I would say from just a fan perspective, you guys were right there, if not above. Like I said, I don't know the numbers, but the chemistry you and Shannon had kind of overshadowed whatever Stephen A. was doing on ESPN.
Well, I'll remind you, when I left, First Take was still on ESPN 2,
Yep.
which has maybe a fifth of the eyeballs that regular ESPN has. And as soon as we launched here, it took a month, they moved the show up to the big eyeballs to protect it because we were going to catch it and pass it.
Absolutely. Obviously, great chemistry. You and Shannon had a great run. Any regrets on how that partnership ended for the show, and any regrets on how the relationship ended?
What did you think about the character, the Uncle Shay Shay character? He didn't come on the show doing that with the black and mild and the do-rag and Hennessy and all that stuff.
When he first started it?
Yeah, he didn't come on with that at first when he first got on the show. So when all that came about, what you think about that too?
Okay, it's better for you guys to respond to that than me, but I was still very close with Stephen A. at that point, and he did not love it.
No, yeah.
Okay, and I defer to you.
Nobody did, so we'll leave it there.
But you know what? You talk about branding, you talk about Stephen A. Smith. To be Unc was big for Uncle Shannon. And out of that, which he, I think it went away. I don't remember him doing it much over the last couple of years. I don't think he ever did it. But whatever. Unc stayed. Shay Shay stayed. So it ended up being positive for him. Mm-hmm. It made me pretty uncomfortable from my seat, but look, you ask about regret. I just have one huge regret. We weren't nearly as close as Stephen A. and I were close, but I just wanted us to finish together on time, because over the last year or so, I would watch what you guys have done here. I would watch what happens to me on Twitter, now X. I would watch what happens to my videos, and I'd say the audience is starting to erode on what they call linear TV shows. Mm-hmm. It's here. You guys were ahead of that curve and then right on time on that curve. And now I want to chase you guys. I want to do this because I saw it for about a year. But I wanted Shannon and I, because I saw his podcast was starting to take hold when he was at Fox, I wanted us to finish together. And I don't know, as God is my witness, I'm not exactly sure what happened upstairs, but it fell all apart and he got pushed out. And I was blindsided and dumbfounded by that, and I don't like it to this day. And I'm not a regrets type. I don't look back and say, oh, if only. But that was one where it was just wrong. I didn't, that's not how I envisioned, because our contracts were concurrent. So I knew when mine was up, I wanted to go my separate way, but I wanted us to end the way it should have ended, because, man, we had 7 really good years. Mm-hmm. We had, on just pure ratings, we had about 5 through the roof years. And that matters to me. You guys, like you guys, I don't know if you ever have any spats or anything, or you disagree on things or whatever, but you're linked for life now.
The respect doesn't change, though. Okay. We might disagree, but the respect,
But you're linked for life because you've been in this foxhole together. and you've had all kinds of guests on here, and you had Kamala here. It's big. And you will look back. God only knows where it's going to take all of us in the next 20 years, but 20 years, if God is good and you're still moving, you'll look back if you're not doing this anymore, and you'll have a deep connection and a deep connection. Okay, that's how I feel about Stephen A. and Shannon. We went to, I don't want to say war, we went to battle together every day. And listen, Shannon just showed up for work, man. He came. He's extremely competitive, and I am crazy competitive. And so we went at it in different, authentic ways than Stephen A. and I did, because Stephen A., he takes it seriously, but there's showmanship involved with Stephen A. that is fun to watch. With Shannon and I, trust me, it got seriously, you sat out there.
I've watched you prepare for a show, Skip, and my boy tell you right there, it is intense watching Skip prepare for a show. It's like, it's just as intense as get ready for a basketball game, bro. It's super intense.
Well, that's White. Okay, this is 2002, so we're way ahead of our sort of time. And we did a pilot, and we did it sort of PTI.
Just you two?
Yeah, just the two of us going back and forth with a guest that we brought in just for the pilot. Ray Mancini, the boxer. George Greenberg ran the network, came flying out of the control room when we finished and said, I could put this on the air tonight. Okay, so we're starting to talk to John about moving to LA, and we're going to launch. This is a long time ago. This is 22 years ago. So this would have changed history. And it ran up the flagpole to the top, and I'm not going to name names, but somebody way upstairs said no to Stephen A. because he was just too edgy for them at that point. And I'm like, he's not edgy. It's just, he's a showman. People don't take it that seriously, that like they're not going to overreact to it, that they'll love it, because that's what you want. You want this kind of edge. I'm edgier than he is to all the questions you ask me, because Stephen A. doesn't take it quite as seriously as I do, but we're a great clique. Okay, so we got left at the altar on that one. So when I got to ESPN, Cold Pizza, we started to overlap. He was doing Quite Frankly. We were both based in New York, so we would be on each other's shows. And then his plug got pulled, and then they took us up to Bristol and rebranded us First Take. We had about a 3 or 4 year run where Stephen A. got pushed out the back door in Bristol. I mean, they did not renew him, and I don't know, you have to ask him the real backstory. But he came out here to Fox Sports Radio, and he was here for 2 years. You can ask my wife about this. He would call me every day and say, can you get me back on the Worldwide Leader? And I would beat on every door in that building. You can ask them all if I didn't just keep saying, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. He's gifted. He's a force. We got to get him back here. And finally, I think it took 2 years. They imposed their will on him, because he was too full of himself, I guess, and made him sort of crawl back, if you will. And they let him ease back in on New York radio and writing for New York ESPN.com. I was just ashamed of it. But I kept fighting, because then I was going solo on First Take with a rotation of guest debaters. We had all kinds of people coming in, Jamel Hill, Michael Smith, and Two Live Stews, and Chris Broussard was in the mix, and we had all kinds of different people coming in. And we had a run in the Tebow season, which was 2011, where we were just rating through the roof. But at the end of that season, I told Jamie Horowitz, who was our showrunner, they would let us have Stephen A. once a week for one segment at the top of the second hour, and that was it, because he was still being punished or whatever. And I said, just get me him. The rotation's fine, and our ratings are great, but I need him daily, where I can wake up thinking, I got him. Because that's where you don't lose any sleep, because I got a new opponent, so to speak, the next day. I wonder how he's going to be. I wonder what this is going to be. We got a whole new dynamic tomorrow. I wonder how that's going to work. I wanted to be able to sleep peacefully because I had my man back. So to your question, that's how we fought through that and finally got him back full time, and the rest is history.
What year did you guys reconnect and finally back full time?
2011, he became, at the very end, it was like I went to the Super Bowl. It was the Brady, it was in Indianapolis, the Brady Giants' second Super Bowl. So it was right in that week. That was the first time he came back on full time. And we relaunched.
This